Namaskar. Hello and welcome to this session on the library automation unit database concept and components. I am Professor Dr. Arun Kumar Chakraborty, your course coordinator of paper 6. The course title is the Information Communication Technologies and its application in libraries and information centers. I will cover now the module 2 database management systems under the unit 15, the database concepts and components, and I am the SMEs means I am the subject matter experts in this topic, though I am the course coordinator of the entire course. So this course is for the learners of Masters of Library and Information Science for both open and as well as regular university learners. So whoever attend to one of the course, they can do this. After attending this unit, I feel that unit 15 lecture learners will be able to understand as to what database approach is and trace the evolutionary pattern of the database, comprehend the meaning of the term of the database and define it. So they can distinguish between the conventional file structures and databases. They will identify the components of a bibliographic databases along with their functions, and they can also know the different types of bibliographical databases and their uses. So what is the data? Data is collected of the facts or measurements that can be used to calculate reasons for the plan. It can be represented as a number, text or multimedia. So how data is used? Because the data is used as a decision making, data can be in a business or education or in the field. So the research data can be used to develop an hypothesis and answer the questions. It can be used for the planning, and data can be used to plan for the future. That is the most important part of the any databases. So in this one, I have given this table of content preambles, the learning outcomes, objectives, what is data, how this data can be used, type of data, how data is organized, application and challenges, what is a database, what are the kinds of types of databases, key concept of a databases applications, factors about the database and the database management systems, components of the DBMS, key functions of the DBMS, then examples of the DBMS, key functions, features of the DBMS, advantages of the DBMS, disadvantages of the challenges of the DBMS, application of the DBMS in the libraries, and key takeaways, summaries, suggestions, conclusions, all these things we have made it to try this kind of things. So what I am telling that the brief, what is the preamble introduction? Brief overview of the database management systems and its importance in the managing information. So the role of database in the library and libraries user data is meaningful. So it should be database management. So objective of this lecture is to understand the DBMS concepts, components and the practical implication for the library systems. What will be the learning outcomes? After completing the session, the learners will be able to define what a database and what is a DBMS, and then he can also explain the key components and concept of the databases. So identify the real world examples and DBMS used in the libraries. So of this, evaluate the advantages and disadvantages and challenges of DBMS in these operations. Then what are the objectives? By the end of this lecture, we will define the core concepts, understand the basic concepts of a database and database management systems DBMS, and differentiate between the database and the DBMS in terms of the functionality and the purpose. So identify the databases. DBMS is that describe the key components of the DBMS: hardware, software, data, users, and procedures. So, recognition how these components interact and manage and retrieve the information efficiently. So, what is the data? The data is a collection of distinct unit of information, and this data is used in a variety of formats like text, numbers, media, and many more. Talking in terms of computing, so if we say that data is basically information that can be transmitted into a particular form or efficient movement and processing. So examples of name these databases is that the age, maybe weight, height, etc. These are the data of these things. So how this data is used? So decision making, data can be helpful for the information decisions in business, education, and other fields. So it can be of a research. Data can be used to develop hypotheses and answer the questions. It can be used for the planning. Data can be used to plan for the futures. So types of the data is, we have to see that there are different types of data. It can be a quantitative data, qualitative data, primary data, secondary data. What is quantitative data? Data that can't be expressed numerically, but instead described using categories or characteristics. The quality of data, data that can be expressed numerically, such as measurement of time and distance. Then the primary data, data that generated by the researcher, such as throughout the experiment or etc. So there are different kinds of data are available. Then what is the secondary data? Data that is extracted from the files, such as data from the government agencies or educational institutions. So how this data is organized? Data can be organized in the data units, a single entity such as person or business, and that data is collected about. What is the data items? A characteristics of data units such as height, income, or country, or of country of birth. And what is the data stage? A structured collection of the data that is usually associated with a specific body of work. And what is the database? An organized collection of data that is stored as a multiple data sets. So application of this data is a challenges. First of all, anything data which has an application, as it is called say challenges. What is? Recognize the library specific application. Understand the relevance of the database management systems in the context of the library and information science, including cataloging, metadata management, user data systems. Identify commonly used database management system tools in the libraries, such as it can be a software like Koha, DSpace, Aleph. So what are the applications and challenges? It can evaluate the benefits and challenges. Access the advantages of using a DBMS, such as enhanced data security, scalability, and reduction and redundancy. So the identity of data is a challenges including cost, complexity, and need for technical expertise. And the challenges related to the DBMS to real life scenario. Explore the real world examples of DBMS, application in library systems and digital repositories. Develop an understanding of how DBMS supports and modern library information and digital transformation. It should be encourage lifelong learning, foster curiosity to explore open source of DBMS and tools, their applications and professional securities. So what is the database? The database is an organized collection of structured data to make it easily. So now what I talked about the data, now the database is an organized collection of structured data to make it easily. What easily? Accessible, manageable, and update. In simple terms, you can also say a database in a place where the data is stored. The best analogy in the library is that library contains huge collection of different books of different genres. Here the library is a database and books are the data. So you can see the difference between the database and the data in the context of the library what I discussed. Then what are the types of databases? There can be object-oriented databases. What are the object-oriented databases? It is a stored objects directly and are designed to work with objects-oriented programming languages. Then we have a NoSQL databases. NoSQL databases store data in a non-tabular ways and are known for their flexibility, flexible schemes, fast queries and ease of use. That is called cloud databases, because nowadays the cloud databases are becoming very important for every aspect to control the data, because huge data are manageable, cannot be data can be stored. So how do they store the data? The spaces, the cloud storage is maintenance and ability is easier. So store and manage data over the internet or a cloud. Then the distributed databases run on more than one device and can be used to connect many devices over a network. You can use mobile, you can use your laptop, you can use a laptop, all these things, desktop, even all the skills gadgets the people can use in at a time. Then types of databases, the graphic databases. There are graph. Use graph theory to establish the relationship between the data points and are often used to handle interconnected data like in social networks. Then data warehouse, store data in a structured format and often include tools for data cleansing, transformation, modeling and also visualization. Then relational databases. They store the data in a table made up of the rows and columns and are known for their scalability and ease of use. So what are the key concept of the databases is, what is the database definition and concepts, what is DBMS, and then the important terms that can be a tables, records, fields, primary key and the foreign key. All these away. Now we talk about the database architecture. It also includes the component of the database management or database structure. A database system is partitioned into modules and that deals with each of the responsibilities of overall systems. Functional components of a database systems can be broadly divided into storage manager, query processor, and then database architecture. The database architecture describes how a DBMS will be integrated with your application. When you are designing a database or architect, you must take decisions that will apply the changes, how your applications are deployed and maintained. So these are the things. What are the types of databases in architecture? So when we talk about the database architecture, we refer to the number of tiers. An application has data sets and architecture that can be a single tier for a multiple tier. So in a three-tier structure, database architecture will be the database, data layer, middle layer, application layer, and then the presentation user layer. How many types of DBMS architectures are there? There are many different ways to architect a DBMS solution. Generally, architect would also be in the following: one-tier architecture, local databases, two-tier architecture, client server, and three-tier architecture, application presentation in application databases. So many things you can cover. Then facts about the databases. Databases have evolved dramatically since their inception in the early 1966, and some navigational tools or databases such as hierarchical databases and the network databases, where the original systems used to store and manipulate data, although these are easily systems, are actually inexplicable. So in the early 1980s, relational databases became very popular, and which was followed by the object-oriented databases later on. More recently, NoSQL database, all this came into a response to the growth of the internet and the need for faster speed and processing unstructured data. So today we have cloud databases and self-driving databases that are creating a new ground when it comes to the new data, how data is collected, stored and managed and utilized. So a database management systems is a software systems that allows user to define, to create, to manage and manipulate the databases. So it serves as an interfaces between the database and the end users of application, and that ensuring efficient data handling and management. So what are the components of the DBMS? So database management systems components are hardware, software, data, procedure. Hardware, we know that physical devices like server, storage and networking devices. Software, the DBMS softwares like MySQL, PostgreSQL and prosperity systems like Oracle. Then data, organized collections of facts, figures, examples. So now again I talk to the hardware. Hardware is a physical device, the servers, storage and networking devices. Software, DBMS software like MySQL and then PostgreSQL and prosperity systems of the Oracle. So data is an organized collection of the facts and figures, and library is a data, book, catalog data, etc. And what are the procedures? Guidelines for the database setup, maintenance and security. Then component users. Different types of users interact with the DBMS. Database administrators manage and maintain the database systems. Application developers create programs to interact with the database, and end users query and retrieve the data for the various purposes. So database schema is that the logical structure and design of the databases, and it defines how data is organized, related and stored. So query processor interprets and executes database queries written in a language like SQL, optimize queries for faster and more efficient executions. Then storage manager manage physical storage and retrieval of data and maintain handling indexing data, organizing disk spaces allocation. Metadata, data about data. It describes the structure, types and relationship of data stored in the databases. Now you have to think about that. What are the key functions of the database management systems? Key functions of the database management systems is that, so data storage, database management, data definition. Data definition allows user to define the structure of data, such as creating tables and specifying the data types. So the data storage and retrieval, it provides the mechanism to store the data persistently and retrieve it efficiently using the queries. So data security and integrity, it ensures the data is secure, consistent and protected from the unauthorized access. So concurrency control manages simultaneous data access by multiple users without conflicts. So backup and recovery, it safeguards the data by providing backup solutions and recovery mechanisms in case of systems failures. So examples of database management system is that it is a relational database management systems. It has got a MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server. Then NoSQL DBMS is got MongoDB, then Cascada, Neo4j, and then open source software database for this is like for library software is like DSpace, Kova, etc. And then the integrated library systems is a Kova, Alfie, Exlibris, Virtua, lot of softwares are there. Digital repository softwares like DSpace, ePrints, The role of DBMS in the opaque online public access catalog. The examples of metadata management systems. So the library is a metadata management systems, and key features of the DBMS is that data abstraction. It hides the complexities of data storage and management from the users. So it provides three levels of abstraction. One is at physical level, another is a logical level, and another is a view level. What is the physical level? Physical level data is that how the data is stored physically on the storage devices. Logical level, how data is organized and related within the data set. And view levels is that how data is presented to the end users. So key components of the features of DBMS is data integrity. It ensures the accuracy and consistency of the data. It enforces the rules like data types, constraints, and relationships, and primary of the foreign keys. So data security, it protects the data from unauthorized access. It implements the user authentication and permissions and encryption techniques. Key features of database management system is that data security. It protects data from the unauthorized access. It implements the user authentication, permissions, and encryption technique. The data redundancy control is that it minimizes the duplicate data storage by maintaining a single copy of data across applications. It reduces the storage cost and prevents the inconsistencies. Currency control manages simultaneous access by multiple users or processes to avoid conflicts. Ensure that transactions are executed reliably. Example, two users editing the same record simultaneously. Then backup and recovery. It protects against the data loss by creating backups, enabling recovery of the data after failures, ensuring databases durability. So query languages. It provides a standardized language such as SQL. Then to perform the database operations, it will also allow a user to interpret, retrieve, insert, update, and delete data efficiently. So what are the multi-user access? It supports the multiple users access in databases currently without performing the delegation. So the transactions management. It ensures that database operations follow the ACID rules. What is ACID rules is that atomicity, consistency, isolations, and durability. What is atomicity? Atomicity is that transactions are fully completed or rolled back. Consistency, the databases remains in a valid state after the transaction. That consistency is very much required. Isolation, transactions do not interfere with one another. Then it's durability. Once it is completed, transactions are permanent even after the system failure. Now I'll talk about advantages of the database management systems. It should be efficient data management and retrieval, reduction of the data redundancy and inconsistency, enhanced data security and access and control, support for current access and transaction management, scalability and integration with other systems. So what are the disadvantages? In every system has got advantages as well as the disadvantages. So disadvantages of database management systems is that high initial cost for setup and licensing, because setup and licensing is very important. It is very costly affairs. Complexity in implementation and maintenance, need for skilled personnel in manage and operate the systems. If I opt for a Koha software and that I do not have a person to know who knows the Koha to handle, then how will survive? So the data security and private, and then application is that integrated library management systems, ILMS, automate cataloging, circulations, acquisition control, serial control. It can be done by the use of the Koha or any other databases. Then bibliographical databases, it stores metadata about the book, journals, and digital formats. Then we have got digital repositories because archives and preserve digital contents like research paper, thesis, and multimedia. So the key takeaways is that what we are going to key takeaways is that the components of the database management systems. Key takeaway is that hardware, software, hardware, because we know that hardware is a very important part of the any database management systems, and then hardware, the every 2 years the hardware component is extremely changing like anything. So the storage capacity is becoming hardware access is becoming completely different scenario. So we have to know that how this hardware is changing. And then software is changing very fast, because we know that the COA now 24th edition, 25th edition has come. So how many updated has come? So every day the databases is always agreeing, proposing, aggregating, and encouraging, increasing. So that way, how we will cope up this one. So that software upgradation is most important. Then data, every day data is changing, because today you might have collected one particular kind of data. Then data can be sustained of this, say geographical data, whatever data, every data changing. You might have collected the data from the books, but again every day the books is entering in the new library, in the library, and then the data is completely changing. So every day data is updating. The user, every moment the new users are coming, or some users are going back, because they may be retiring, or the students may be completing their course. So that way the users also going down and new users also coming in. So that is always a system flow for every day. So our database should be able to comply that also. And we have to see in a one single day, if the director wants to know that yes, how many users already left, or how many users were there totally. So that kind of backup also we need to have a keep, so that we can provide that kind of services to the users, services to the faculty, services to the our policy makers, because we have to survive with the users as well as the policy makers, because they are our fund manager, fund making kind of things. So those kind of things we have to know that. Then procedure to work together to provide the seamless data management solutions. That is the important of kind of things. DBMS, database management system, plays a critical role in the library operations. So we have to know that why we are talking about the database management systems. Why learners should know the database management system, because every day they have to handle this kind of unit. So this is not only the learning for the purpose of the exam, this is the learning for the purpose of how we can plan our database management systems. If you if you are appointed in a particular place and you have to the government, your key takeaways is database management systems plays a critical role in the library operation, enabling efficient cataloging, metadata, or the cataloging of the organizations. Use the information management. So this is the key takeaway. You have to think that what is the critical role in the library operation. What I am talking about that this course is not only for to gain your score point, credit score point, that we are passing out MLS or BLS courses. That's not like that. It's also for, say, if we are going for a competitive exam, this will also help. Or if the authority has given you to plan a database management for your library, so this kind of knowledge you have to deep, because if you do not have this kind of knowledge, you will not able to delve the things on such a way. So those kind of things you have to do. Then what are the things? While database management systems offer numerous advantages like scalability, what kind of scale, because how much money I have got, and how much scale, what kind of data I have got, what kind of library I am having, that kind of way I have to do the scale well. This I have to scale, I have to increase accordingly. So that scalability is important part of this. Then efficiency and security. It also presents challenges such as cost, because cost is the most important factor, because if your library is very small library, so how much cost will be involved for particular, if you have a big library, so how much cost is involved in this particular to implement kind of things. So cost benefit analysis is a very important part for organizing or planning any database management systems. So that we have to know very well, so how we should go about it. Then key takeaways also for library and information professionals: mastering of the database management concept is essential as libraries continue to transition into digital systems, because the digital ecosystems that integrate advanced information systems. These are the systems we are going every day. This is going to change the systems, integrate in the advanced information systems. How we are going to cope up with these advanced information systems, we have to think of this. What is in summary, recap, the key databases, database management systems, components, and their role in the libraries. Then importance of understanding the database management systems for MLS professionals, or the MLS or distance education learning, or the regular mode of learners. So examples of how database management systems support for the transition. Then suggestion. So you have to stay updated. Why you have to stay? That's why I'm telling you that you have to stay updated, because your knowledge, if the knowledge is not updated, you will not able to manage the database. Because database management is after you're joining the job. Every day you have to be updated. Otherwise, you will not able to cope up with the situation. So follow the advancement of the database technologies and the library management systems to stay current with the emerging trends. You enroll in the additional courses. You need to enroll in the different courses. Consider taking specialized courses or certification in database management systems and data management, and a tailored for LIS professionals, because that's kind of things we have to know for the suggestion. My suggestion is that you should only this course will not do. You may pass through this course in a master's degree program, but that's not do for the your exact job activity. So every day you have to take a new course for this. Then explore open source tools. What are the open source tools are available to learn or experiment by exploring user-friendly open source software like database management software tools such as Koa and DSpace, etc. Then you can have a hands-on practice. So always you have to see that how you can do the hands-on practice. Only the theoretical knowledge will not you suffice that what you want to do that one. So you have to be practice creating a small databases for cataloging metadata or organizing to better understand the structure and functions of the database management systems. We have to collaborate and learn, because you alone cannot learn, because the database management software, it is open source software, it is doing by many people. So you should know that who your neighbor is, what kind of software using, and how they are facing any problem. So if you do not know the peer groups, if you do not have an interaction with the peer group, you will not able to achieve the objectives of your this thing. So collaboration and your learn is very important. Then by building a strong foundations of database management systems, MLS students can contribute effectively to the management and modernization of the library system, ensuring they remain integral of the information landscape of the future. So I would like to conclude in saying that in this lecture we explored the foundation concept of the database management systems and database and integrated library information science. And the key takeaways, I've said that database is an organized collection of the data, and database management systems is a tool used to data efficiently and effectively. I have gone through this on different short questions I have given. So these questions, short questions are there. You can go through these short questions. This can be helpful for your exam purpose. This short question can come on a jointly together with the things. That's some 18 marks, 6 marks and all. So all these questions I am not going to detail telling you. You can go the short questions. After the short questions I have got a MCQs. So you have a 7 MCQs for your practice for your NET, SET exams. You can practice for that purpose. And then I have given a different kind of references, because this lecture I have used different resources. I have gathered knowledge from the different sources and different examples. So those kind of examples, wherever I have tried to keep it, I have tried to put those examples. Yes, the references. So those kind of references I have referred. You also refer details in details, because in short note it's not possible to tell you everything. So what you can do, if you are going through these exercises and MCQs and all and the references, I hope you will really learn kind of things. Thank you. Thanks a lot very much. Thanks for your patience.